and welcome to a new Cloudasta tutorial. Imagine you had an HR onboarding agent, and every time a new employee joins your company, you can direct them to this agent where it will walk them through the onboarding process, asking them to watch videos, complete tutorials, tests, etc., and track the progress. Today, we will showcase the potential of Gemini Enterprise by showing you how to build a specialized employee HR onboarding agent with an orchestrator and a series of sub-agents that work together. Let's start by going to Gemini Enterprise, Agents, select New Agent, and click directly on Proceed to Builder. First, we are building the orchestrator, the user-facing agent. It won't do the heavy lifting itself. Its job is to manage the conversation and delegate tasks to our specialists. We'll start by adding the name of the agent and a description. We are calling it Employee HR Onboarding, and its goal is to orchestrate the onboarding process. Next, in the instructions, we'll define its mission, the core logic that tells the agent exactly what to do. The first step is to use the People Search connector to get the new hire's name, role, email, and manager. This is a data source connected to Gemini Enterprise through the Google Cloud platform that will give access to the company directory to our agent. The variables we are requesting at this step, we will use subsequently. Gemini Enterprise agents automatically detect the user's login email so they can search for their details in the company directory. The second step calls our first sub-agent to perform a task and passes it the information of the user. We will build all the sub-agents in the next stage. The third step calls on the onboarding tracker, sub-agent for the first time. And in the fourth step, we are defining how this orchestrator will interact with the onboarding tracker sub-agent, updating the status of the tasks, and calling a separate sub-agent to schedule a meeting. Finally, for step 5, it calls on the last sub-agent to send a completion notification. Now, at this stage, we will add the connectors for this agent. Connectors can be applications that are available in GCP, such as Drive, Calendar, and Gmail, or custom connectors that your IT team may have created. For example, your IT department might add a custom connector to a dataset in BigQuery that syncs with your CRM platform. Our agent is going to need to connect only to the People Search connector, in our case called Native Cloud Identity. We will use other connectors directly in the sub-agents. In the Knowledge section, we are going to select the documents the agent will use to guide the onboarding process. First, the role to software matrix, where the agent can see which tools are relevant to each role. And then the master onboarding tracker, which contains a template of the onboarding steps of each role in the company. Under personalization, you can choose to display a conversation starter for your agent. We will add, "Hi, I need to get started with my onboarding." With the orchestrator ready, it's time to build its team of specialists. By isolating each job into a dedicated sub-agent, we create a system that's not only powerful, but also incredibly easy to manage and scale. Click on the plus sign at the bottom of the main agent box to add a sub-agent. We will start with the IT Access Request sub-agent. Its only job is to handle software requests. As with the main agent, we will write its name and description, then we will give it instructions. First, we are defining its function. Next, we are instructing it to use the input user role it received to find the list of software that our new user will need. Finally, we are giving it a clear task: create an email with the specified parameters and send it to the IT team. This automates the access request process. The instructions are direct and non-conversational. This sub-agent is a tool. To finish its setup, we give it access to Google Drive to read the role to software list and Gmail to send the email. Now, our first specialist is ready. Moving on to our next sub-agent, the onboarding tracker. This tool is going to use the master onboarding tracker spreadsheet to manage and monitor the onboarding progress of each user. As with all agents, we are first giving it a name and description. In the instructions, we are first telling it what to expect as input from the orchestrator. Once it gets the info, the sub-agent opens the spreadsheet and performs different actions depending on the input. If the action is check or create, the agent searches for a tab in the master spreadsheet with the name of the user. If the tab doesn't exist, it creates it. If the action is Get Next Task, it finds the Users tab and retrieves the last task with a pending status. Then it sends the task to the orchestrator, who will then interact with the user. Lastly, if the action is Update Status, the tool will identify the task on hand and change its status in the tracker. To finalize this subagent, we scroll down and give it access to the Drive connector so it can edit the spreadsheet. Now let's look at the Manager Notification subagent. This tool will handle the notification to the user's manager once their onboarding process has been completed. Once again, we start by giving it a name and a description. In the instructions, we will have only 2 simple steps. Step 1 will define its function and what information it will receive from the orchestrator. Step 2 is the actual action of using Gmail to create an email to the manager and the specifics of the email content. Down in the connector section, we need to give it access to Gmail for it to work. Now it's time for our final subagent. The meeting scheduler subagent will use the calendar for finding mutual availability between the user and its manager and booking a meeting. We name it and add the description as per usual. Then in the instructions, we specify the whole process. In step 1, we tell it its function and information received. In step 2, we define the goal of the agent, which is to schedule a 30-minute meeting between the 2 people whose email it got from step 1. For step 3, we tell it specifically how to perform the task using the calendar tool and checking the availability of the users for the next 3 days. Step 4 tells it to find the first available time, and step 5 to use the calendar tool again to create the event. Finally, on step 6, we send the confirmation and the time of the meeting to the user. To finish constructing our agent, we need to give it access to calendar on the connector section. Great, we have finalized our full multi-agent onboarding concierge. Click Create and you can start chatting with your agent. At this point, you can share this agent. Your sharing request must be approved by a GCP admin. Or if you want your agent to be available for the whole company, your Google Cloud admin needs to deploy it. To do this, they simply need to go to Gemini Enterprise in GCP, then Agents, select the agent you want to share, and under the User Permissions tab, go to Add User and select All Users, then click Save. Now, let's see the entire system in action from a new employee's perspective. First, a very important point, the user needs to enable actions of the calendar and mail connectors before starting the process for the agent to be able to perform the automated tasks on their behalf. Okay, so when we open our chat with the agent, the user sees the suggested prompt to start the conversation with the onboarding agent. So the agent automatically identifies our user and its role, in this case, a marketing role, and drafts the email to request the necessary software access. After the user confirms the email action, the agent automatically moves on to the onboarding process. Here's how the marketing onboarding plan looks like, and we can see how the agent is asking the user to complete the steps one by one and expecting the feedback. After every step completion, the onboarding tracker is automatically updated. When the user then completes the next few phases, the agent automatically starts creating a meeting with the user's manager and then drafts the notification email. And there you have it. In just a few minutes, you haven't just built an agent, you've architected a true multi-agent assistant that saves time, reduces errors, and creates a world-class experience from day one.